Did I really?
Oh, what just happened?
From Las Vegas, it's a special edition of the Sports Adrenaline Show. The Raiders introduced their new head coach today, and he says that he has a lot to prove. It's Jon Gruden. He's ecstatic to be back
Happy
in
Raiders
Oakland.
Day!
Yes, sir.
Silent nights for the Golden
Raiders
Knights as the team has a few days off for the bye week. The run-in Rebels, not too good. Off to a slow start in the conference, and we will have some news on the Las Vegas Lights FC as they fill their initial roster with 5 local players, which is pretty cool. I'm Tony Cardasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, Rick Strasser, produced by Richard Jacovino.
Hey, Rich.
Haley Brooks.
Yeah, do you want to?
Haley's
I think we
comments
should
real
go
quick.
to Haley's comments.
Comments yet,
early.
Haley?
Hey.
Thanks, Haley.
She
Haley
is here.
Haley,
We're
you're
glad we have you.
on. You're on.
Hold on.
You're
Wait for
on,
the
Haley.
shot. All
Say
right.
hi.
Do
Do you have
we
any comments yet,
Yeah.
Haley?
So much traffic in Vegas.
Thanks, Haley. And then also our special guest tonight is Scott Gulbranson, and we'll be talking about the Raiders.
Thanks for coming in, Scott.
Most
Thank
of
you,
our
guys.
news
Hello.
tonight will be centered around the Raider Nation. Chucky is
back.
back. The official announcement that Jon Gruden was named to a 10-year contract today. Once a Raider, always a Raider. That's how Mark Davis opened the press conference. And
Chills.
Raider Nation,
Chills.
this is a big effing deal. That's what Mark Davis said in introducing Jon Gruden. Let's watch.
This is a big effing deal. Please welcome the head coach of the Oakland Raiders, Mr. Jon Gruden.
I love the Raiders, and most of all, I love to win. And I'm going to do everything I can. No guarantees, no promises, but I want to win. I look forward to working with Reggie and his staff. We've got a lot of work to do. We've hired 3 coordinators already. Paul Gunther from the Cincinnati Bengals is official. Great addition to our football team. Rich Bisaccia will be our special teams coordinator from the Dallas Cowboys. And Greg Olson will be our offensive coordinator coming over from the LA Rams. I'm not a real deep philosophical person. I've always loved football. I've wanted to come back. I've prepared to come back. I'm ready to roll. I'm just ready to go. I'm at a point in my life where I need another challenge, and I know I have a lot to prove, and I'm eager to prove that I can do it.
Charles Woodson, I'm with the Oakland Raider alumni. All of us just want to know, is there a no-trade clause in your deal?
You're going to make me want to go home, Charles, back to Florida. There is a no-trade clause. And all I want to say to you guys is I want to say this to you guys, all of you. It means the world to me that you're here. And you're welcome. As long as I'm the head coach, all of you are welcome here. I want you guys to be a big part of this Raider organization. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your attendance here today. Some of you guys were actually on time, unlike when I was coaching here.
And so Jon Gruden saying that he loves football, loves the city of Oakland, loves the Raiders. The brand is global, and he loves to win. That's what drove him back into coaching for the Raiders.
And he's been asked quite a bit to coach over the last 9 years that he's been in the booth. A lot of teams have pursued him, and it was interesting seeing him say that it was the Raiders that he wanted to go back to. And Mark Davis, he echoed those sentiments, saying that he was the coach that he wanted to have from the very beginning. He even said, John and I were talking about this earlier, he said, what did Davis say? This was the greatest day of his life.
Yeah.
So interestingly put, but it's a big day for Raider Nation, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of teams have chased him down, including the Raiders, who Davis said he's been chasing him down for 6 years now. And he was asked after the press conference if he would have still fired Del Rio to get after Jon Gruden had Del Rio had a successful season like he did in 2016. And Davis's reply was, I don't really know for sure, but probably. So this was
It made
was
it
his
easier.
guy. I mean, yeah, Del Rio was a placeholder for Jon Gruden. Essentially, he was there to kind of stabilize the situation in Oakland and get them back to a winning mentality, all in preparation for bringing back Jon Gruden.
But let's get really to the number one point of this whole day and this whole press conference. The guy is ready to coach, and it doesn't look like he's lost a step at all. The intensity and the fire he brought to the freaking press conference is getting me excited. And I was, I wouldn't say skeptical. That's not the right word. But I was unsure what kind of coach we were bringing back in here. Was it a guy that was satisfied with a $100 million contract, one of the probably the largest contract ever for a head coach?
For sure.
But you didn't see that one bit, one iota. The guy is intense, he's fiery, and based on the answers to some of the questions up there, he just wants to get at it right away.
I like where Gruden said that he had an all-access pass to watch practices, review film, do draft updates. He had access for the past few years, right?
Yeah,
to,
he's
to
been
go
off the
wherever he
field.
wanted to do.
He's been off the field, but he hasn't been away from the game. He's had more accessibility than anybody in the NFL over the last 10 years.
Right.
And at the same time, he was very careful, I guess, to say about talking about any on-field players,
yeah.
any personnel decisions, anything like that. Today, I think his mindset going in was celebrating the fact that he was back with the organization that he never wanted to leave in the first place. So it's a big day for the organization because this is the guy that could take them back to the level where they're competing year in and year out.
Yeah, no question. A lot of sound, a lot of really great sound from Gruden during this press conference. Question and answers. The whole thing lasted about 50 minutes. We took out the best parts of this whole thing, and really we'll tee you up this next segment with this, is that the guy really has not lost a step.
Point in my life where I need another challenge, and I know I have a lot to prove, and I'm eager to prove that I can do it. But yeah, I've been thinking of a lot of plays, and when I met Derek Carr this morning, I thought of a few more, just so you know.
Maniacal energy and passion and 3:17 in the morning wake-up call and all of that?
So far I do, yes I do. Improve, so my schedule hasn't changed at all, Ann. It really hasn't.
How has the game changed, in your opinion?
The bargaining agreement has changed the way we practice, the way we conduct ourselves in the off season. Obviously, that in perspective, I've got to hire a great coaching staff. That's been the number one. All have to adapt every year.
Coach Levi Damian from SB Nation. Being away from the game the last few years, what do you think are the most important things you've learned seeing things from the other side?
Look, I've got to see every facility in the league. I've had a chance to watch them practice, see how they conduct training camps. I've had a chance to learn some things and see some things that I would have never gotten to see as a coach. And I've had a chance to study different offenses, different defenses. And I've had a chance to get into personnel more. So I think I'm more big picture now than I was in the past, but I still want to be very detailed in terms of how we play offense. I still want to be very involved in how we move the football. But I have had some opportunities that are unique and I think beneficial as a broadcaster.
Hi, Rick Tittle with 95.7 The Game, the home of the Raiders. And this is for Reggie, too. You mentioned personnel. How much are you going to be involved in personnel decisions, or are you just going to coach?
Well, we're going to work together. Reggie and I come from the same tree in Green Bay, raised by Ron Wolf. As young Green Bay Packers, I think we have a similar viewpoint in terms of what kind of players we're looking for. But it's got to be a collaborative effort, whether it be a salary cap decision, a free agent acquisition, who we draft. We got to work together. And I think that's the great thing about being here is we're going to be united, we're going to work hard, and we're going to assemble the best team possible. We're not always going to agree, and Reggie will probably win. Look at the size of the guy. But you know what? I don't want to agree with everybody. You know, I really want to work hard, and I want to try to pursue every vehicle possible to improve the Raiders.
Bottom line, it's a team effort. I mean, we're a team. It's going to be a Raider decision. Bottom line, we're going to work great together.
Yeah.
And so that was Reggie McKenzie there at the end. We now bring in our special guest. He's Scott Gulbranson joining us once again from the LV Raiders Report. And Scott, big day in Oakland today. Big day as well for Las Vegas because Gruden's going to be the head coach, hopefully, once the team comes to Las Vegas. Talk about his staff. He has his three coordinators. So Paul Gunther, Rich Bisaccia, and Greg Olson, the offensive coordinator. And he's going to build the rest of his staff around it. Do we have any idea on who they're trying to hire to fill in the staff?
Well, there's been a lot of names, but I think that the thing that I love what Gruden said is he said he's had guys on red alert for years, right? He's been ready to come back for coaching. And that's the thing is even if you're in Las Vegas and you're not a Raiders fan yet, because it is going to be your hometown team, it's hard to watch Gruden and not like him. Unless you're a Chiefs, Raiders, or Chargers fan, it's hard because he's such a personality, he's such a brand in himself, and I think that if you look at the way he's going to construct his coaching staff, you look at Gunther, he is a guy who's going to run an aggressive defense, and Gruden talked about it, right? He talked about it's going to run you up and down the field, and I think that's really important. Gruden coming in is going to build the excitement that this team needs to really get back to where it wants to go. And remember, in the 4 years Jon Gruden was there, the Raiders were in the playoffs twice. In the 16 years since he's been gone, the Raiders have been in the playoffs twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a big deal, and I think that Jon Gruden coming back, and also Mark Davis, the owner, there's a lot of credit for righting a wrong that was originally created by his dad, Al.
Yeah. Let's check in with Haley. We have Haley's comments, and it is sizzling on our comments here on
Sizzling
on Facebook.
Sizzling like that sneeze that you have working in the sinuses. Yeah, your sinuses.
Sizzling.
Fajita.
So yeah, it's sizzling over here in the comments.
It is sizzling, no?
It is sizzling, like
Okay.
bacon. We'll go
Like
with
bacon.
bacon instead of your cold. That's kind of gross.
Thank you.
So Melissa, I'm going to butcher your last name. Melissa Murich. She's super excited. She called Gruden a PR dream. Then she said swoon. So I asked her if
That's
she
a different
thinks,
type of dream right there.
Well, yeah. Well, I asked her. I said, who do you think has a better haircut, Mark Davis or Gruden? So I really want to know what you think about that. And then she also said over 50 ex-Raider players there to support him.
Yep.
Yeah, it was unreal.
Yeah,
Everyone's excited about
that
this.
was a room full of Raiders. It was great.
Yeah. And then we had Betsy Karen Fulmer chimed in. She said, chase down. That's what he did. Mark Davis, I don't know if you put in your soundbite, but I know he said that getting the league's approval and all the owners' approval to move to Vegas was easier than chasing down Gruden. I mean, it's been 10 years since he's coached. And Jared Alden put 3 death skulls, and I don't know why.
That's Raider Nation.
That's the black hole checking in. That's the
Okay.
black hole
Is that what
checking
that
in.
is?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She's a little green, folks. It's okay.
She
It's
green
okay.
like the Eagles. She doesn't get it. She doesn't get it yet.
Scott, personnel. Gruden touched on that today. He doesn't know quite everything that he has, coming back. He said, do we have a fullback? Do we have a featured back? Wide receivers. He really has to now go through all the personnel that he has and try to figure out who's going to be able to fit his system, right?
Right. One of my favorite quotes of Gruden from the day was when he said, we got to get through today and then we're going to lock the doors and get to work. And that's what he does. I mean, you talk about work ethic and what he brings to this team. I think it's everything that it's been lacking, right? So he comes in, he's going to do that. He mentioned a fullback. That was the one thing I will say about Jon Gruden.
Who uses a fullback anymore? First of all,
Jon Gruden. Now, but
that's old school.
Bring back Mark Van
Egan. The key here is, though, he said he's not a deep philosophical thinker. That
5
may
times.
be true, but he's a strategic thinker. And this guy, that's the thing you get with Jon Gruden, too, that I know all of you up here understand because of what you do, and that is it's not just a coach, it's a leader. He knows how to lead men on the field, and he knows how to lead an organization. And I think that's a big deal. And so when he talks about players and personnel, he doesn't. I'm sure he's got an idea because he's been watching it, and he's been watching for 4 weeks, knowing that he's probably going to coach the team, right, Matt? And suddenly now, him mentioning a fullback, though, was on purpose. That was purposeful.
It's interesting because
that was purposeful.
The one question that I found interesting that was not asked at the press conference was the simple fact that he's been out of coaching for 9 years. And things have changed in the league since he was there, and a few of those things were touched on. But the fact that he hasn't been on the sideline, in the war room, coaching over the last 9 years, do you think that's going to be a problem?
I don't think so, and I think he addressed it in a roundabout way, Rick, and that was he has been preparing to come back. So he's not a guy, you look at somebody like Tony Dungy, what an amazing human being, a great guy, was a great coach. Could he come back and coach? Absolutely. Does it appear like he wants to? Not really. I think he's happy doing what he's doing. He's got a lot of other things, his ministry, all these other things that he has. Jon Gruden always wanted to be a football coach. Jon Gruden has been pursued. Notre Dame, college jobs, pro jobs, and he was just waiting for the right chance. And I love the idea, and Matt touched on it on his story on our website today, about Gruden coming back, that unfinished business portion. Yeah. And you saw the emotion, right? Yeah. Not only Mark Davis that you talked about at the top, Tony, but the emotion in Jon Gruden's face. I mean, you could see that it was real. It was not just concocted because he got $100 million.
Yeah, no, it's amen. Amen. Well, and the first thing that he talked about, though, was the freaking tuck rule. I mean, it really was. It was like 30 seconds in.
That was his last
play.
And I get it.
Play to the crowd,
But,
too.
I mean, he said it right away, which tells you, I mean, he's been thinking about it and thinking about it.
I saw Charles Woodson and Brady fumble the ball.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how could he not be thinking about that? His last game as a Raider was in Foxborough with the tuck rule. And again, he didn't leave. He didn't decide, I don't want to be here anymore. I can't take Al Davis anymore. I don't want to coach in Oakland anymore. He was traded to Tampa Bay. Yeah. That if that's not unfinished business, I don't know what is.
Well, especially with what he did in Tampa. I mean, he ended up beating the Raiders in the Super Bowl. So
he ironically beat his own team with Tony Dungy's team. Is essentially what happened in that Super Bowl.
Irony, yeah. Well, and the thing is, I mean, Jon Gruden is like out of the movie 300. He's got an axe to grind. He wants to make up for what happened there, right? He wants to do it. He wants to do it in Oakland. And the one thing I was going to bring up too, as we sit here in Las Vegas, is if you notice, the team has taken all the pressure off him, and I think correctly positioned him to be the champion for Oakland for the final 2 seasons, right? We've all said it. Matt and I were having a conversation today with somebody online. We want them to win a Super Bowl while they're in Oakland. It would be no better way for them to say goodbye before they move here. But I think that's purposeful, and he will come sell Vegas. Don't get me wrong. But I think that the way they're handling it, the way the Raiders as an organization, they don't get enough credit for how they've handled this unique situation.
All right, so let me ask this. He still has to get players to buy in, and the players still have to play. And from what I heard today, and what we've seen in the past, he's going to be the dictator, and everybody's going to have to listen to him. Is that style going to work? And 10 years, you could say, is a long time, but it's really not a long time in the NFL. I mean, we've transitioned into more of these players, coaches, and that's what players want. are they going to listen to this
Who's
guy?
the most successful team in the NFL for the last 15 years?
The Patriots.
But I heard
Bill
he's a fun. But I heard he's a fun guy. That Belichick's
Gruden's
fun.
a fun guy, but
is
he?
he?
He is an
He's a
in-your-face,
feral laugh.
do-your-job kind of guy.
Right, and
he's not. He's not one of these guys that's just going to scream and yell at you, and that's the end of it. And he talked about it in the press conference. He said he was the ultimate cheerleader when he was on the sideline. Yeah. He goes crazy for a first down. He gets in your face if you do something wrong. He goes crazy when they score, and ultimately he loses his mind when you win.
So from a player's perspective, are you
do.
saying he? I mean, I'm sure he's pissed off players,
They're
but
grown men.
has every player? And the answer is no. I get it. Has the majority of his players really bought in? I mean, I guess you have to have that
on the
if you won a Super
team,
Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the current team, if you're not going to buy in, you're gone. That's how Gruden's going to treat this situation. Guys like Khalil Mack are going to buy in. Derek Carr is going to buy in. Derek Carr works his butt off. He's going to buy in. And Gruden gets the most out of his quarterbacks. I mean,
Marshawn
really
Lynch
does.
is gone, right? He's not buying into those shenanigans.
I think he's going to be there.
Gruden talked about it in the press conference.
He said he's
never met him. He's never met him, but he liked it. He was excited to sit down with him.
He blew him off on the production meeting.
I think
that was a great story. He's like, I've never met Marshawn.
Yeah.
I think Marshawn Lynch fits Gruden's system. You mentioned the fullback comment. John Ritchie and Zach Crockett had their best seasons as fullbacks under Jon Gruden because it's a smash mouth style, especially when you get into those short yardage situations. I think Lynch fits perfectly if he can give you one solid year.
Well, and I think more than anything, what guys want, if you're on an NFL team, what do you want? You want the ring. You want to win. And if guys, buy in, that doesn't mean players on the Patriots love Bill Belichick. They might not like him at all, but they play for him. They know he's got a system that works. I think once they get into a system, if any players have doubts, they will learn quickly that he's going to get them to where they want to go.
And we all know that Jon Gruden is a preparation guy. I mean, he will have them prepared. And one of the things they talked about quite a bit at the press conference that he got fired up about really at the press conference was one of the big differences from when he was coaching 9 years ago with the collective bargaining agreement of when they can actually be practicing, when they can have time on the field. And he was very specific to say, look, when we do have the time to be on the field and be in the film room, we are going to be, because a lot of that has been taken away with the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, which is ironic because with all the restrictions placed on coaching and players, but yet, we saw Cam Newton on Sunday get hammered and it looked like he got a concussion. He's right back in the game. So that's my soapbox on the NFL. But yeah, I think you're right. I think nobody's going to outwork the guy. He's just a dynamo. He's been that way. He was like that with Monday Night Football. People would make fun of him on Monday Night Football because he loved every player. He did this. He kind of had his little thing, his little tics. But I think if you look at Raider Nation in general today, and you look at the people who follow the Raiders, everyone's excited. The players are excited. Having all those alumni there and seeing the current players and what they were saying in social media, it's going to be on, I think.
Did you see the tweets today quoting Rich Gannon, questioning Derek Carr's work ethic? And we were talking last week about the potential of Rich Gannon even being a part of the coaching staff, maybe being a quarterback's coach. Do you question Derek Carr's work ethic?
No, to me, the way I read it was more Rich Gannon, in essence, telegraphing to Derek Carr that you're going to have to work in a different way. Right. And that way is going to be a little more rigid. It's going to be more disciplined than he's used to. And from what we heard at the end of the season from a lot of the sources was that, and from the voice of the Raiders, talking about how the offensive coaching staff turned on Derek Carr at the end of the season, which is one of the reasons that played into how everything transpired. So yes, Derek Carr's going to have to learn. But remember, Derek Carr is a quarterback in the NFL. A lot is made of the fact that Derek's a faithful guy. We even talked about it last time we were here. And he doesn't curse, that we know of. He doesn't drink, he doesn't do all this stuff, right?
So
that doesn't matter.
Was he offended by this is a big effing deal
no,
today?
But that's what I'm saying, though, is when you're on the field, that because someone else curses, like Jon Gruden, doesn't mean Derek Carr has to. It doesn't mean
Rivers doesn't curse.
Philip Rivers
put together a Hall of Fame caliber career.
Golly gee, okay, that's it. We have a little bit more sound. I want to go ahead and play that. These are some, and you were, Scotty, mentioning all the alumni, and we've been mentioning it in and out through this whole segment, but over 50 alumni there. It was a lot of fun. These are some of my favorite moments, starting with Charles Woodson, and obviously he had a question as a member of the media for Coach Jon Gruden.
Coach, this is your first pick in 1998. Charles Woodson, I'm with the Oakland Raider alumni. All of us just want to know, is there a no-trade clause in your deal?
You're going to make me want to go home, Charles, back to Florida. There is a no-trade clause. All I want to say to you guys is I want to say this to you guys, all of you. It means the world to me that you're here. And you're welcome. As long as I'm the head coach, all of you are welcome here. I want you guys to be a big part of this Raider organization. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your attendance here today. Some of you guys were actually on time, unlike when I was coaching here. But there's a lot of young players out there, I know this, that have untapped potential. And we have to tap it as soon as they walk in these doors, and I need your help to do that. But thank you guys for being here.
When my father passed away and we had the first press conference, I told everybody here that the one thing I know is what I don't know, and I'm going to surround myself with the people that do know those things. My vision at that time was Jon Gruden to coach this football team and Reggie McKenzie to bring in the talent. It took me 6 years of chasing Jon, but every trip I made to Tampa Bay, and I sat down in the Fired Football Coaches Association room and saw the work that Jon does every day, starting at 3 a.m. in the morning, watching film, marking down plays, how much he enjoys it. And over the 6 years, that passion never waned. He's continually doing it, and I continually tried to convince him that he's wasting his time teaching everybody out here how to play football. He should come back and do it with the football team in the National Football League. And if he's going to do it, he should do it with the Raiders. And it is the biggest day of my life right now to have him here to run this organization and be the leader of this organization on the field is going to be phenomenal.
Do you feel that you have unfinished business here, and how much has that kind of gnawed at you over the last, 15 years, 10 years?
It's great to see you again, Ann. Thanks for bringing up the tuck rule and how old we are. It's great. There is unfinished business. And as a coach, I was traded. I've been fired. I've missed the game terribly, but I've really missed the Raiders. And for my career to end on that night in New England, it still ticks me off. And I'm so thrilled to be back here. I hope people understand the emotion inside of me. I feel unfinished business. I also feel a lot of loyalty, and I feel a lot of responsibility to get the Raiders going again. And it's been a while since we've consistently performed at a high level, and that's really all I care about. I'm going to do everything I can to help this team get right again.
I love the fire, man.
That's great. Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
You notice
that's Chucky right there.
And you notice in the press conference, Las Vegas was only mentioned once. And I understand that he has to do, the due diligence for Oakland, and they want to send them out in a great way. But, I would have liked to have heard more of what he thinks about coming to Las Vegas and what he thinks of the new stadium that's going to be waiting for him, and, the house that Chuck built, and having more of a Las Vegas presence. But even the Las Vegas media that were there didn't even ask any Las Vegas questions.
No, but I think, Rick, I think he will get to that. And I wrote a piece on the brand of Gruden, and I think Jon Gruden, for those, since we all have connections here to UNLV, Gruden will fill that gap that Coach Tark used to do. Tark was the king of the town, right? He everybody wanted to be near him. They wanted to eat with him. They wanted to go to the games. I think he's going to do that. Oh, by the way, behind Charles Woodson, you saw Tommy White from the local 872, right?
Hey,
Tommy, you could hear his voice, everything. He was on TV.
Today also the Packers director of football operations, Elliott Wolf, he interviewed with the Browns. However, he has an offer, from what they're reporting, to join Jon Gruden and Reggie McKenzie in Oakland, according to a report today, a chance to join the Raiders regime, and will be reunited with Reggie McKenzie, whom he worked with from 2004 to 2011 in Green Bay.
Which is interesting, because if he does go there, you talk about, then you have an all-star team in the front office, including the coaching staff. And with Wolf there, if I'm Wolf, I think about, look, you can go to Cleveland, and they have to build there, obviously, 0-16. If I'm him, I go to Oakland, because I can be there for a year or two, have a couple really good years, and he can do an even better job. I mean,
you could
that's
be the
my
heir
guess.
apparent to McKenzie.
Or you could be the heir apparent.
They
That's
could
right.
be grooming you for the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's check in with Haley. There's some sizzling comments.
It was sizzling again,
It's
twice
a rolling
in one
boil
show.
now. Calm down a little bit.
Calm
but
down.
everyone's
Well, let's
still
get them
ecstatic.
sizzling again. Get them going.
But yeah, we got a couple people. Actually, speaking of Elliott Wolf, Jason Smith said that he's pretty much said he guaranteed Elliott Wolf comes to Oakland/Vegas. Now he thinks he's going to join Raider Nation. And Jacob, you have two I's in your name, so I think it's Hero. He's going off about Raiders run LA, but I'm trying to let him know they're still coming to Vegas a little bit. But he's saying they're running over all over LA right now, but I told him they're running to Vegas. So anything else you guys want? I feel like overall it's a very positive. Everyone's super excited for Gruden and everything, but I wonder if there's any naysayers. Anybody?
There have been a lot of people out there talking about the fact that he has been away for so long and that you don't know what you're going to get out of him. I think the biggest deterrent, we've touched on it, has been whether or not his coaching style can mesh with today's players. Like I said before, if you're not going to be willing to do the work or to be able to put up with Jon Gruden's in-your-face style, you're going to be gone. You're going to go play for somebody else, and that's what it comes down to. Gruden's going to demand perfection. He wants winners in that locker room, and that's what you're going to have to be to play for him.
And they'll have people that will seek that out too. I mean, the free agents that may come just because he's the coach here.
And that's a great point because the Raiders are sitting well with salary cap, so they can go out and make some moves if they need to, in addition to what they're going to be able to do in the draft. So you're right. Gruden, I think that's that symbiotic relationship between Reggie McKenzie and Jon Gruden. Them talking, it was very significant that they talked about their time in Green Bay and growing up together. Because a lot of people made a lot of hay about the fact that Reggie's going to leave because Gruden's going to want to do this. Gruden knows his limitations. I really believe that. Yes, he's like, I want this guy because I'm going to be doing this with my offense. But that doesn't mean he's going to be the guy who drafts who it is. He's just going to have a recommendation.
Well, he even said today that McKenzie has the final. Yeah. He even joked, said, "Look how big he is."
That was a great quote too.
Okay, put you guys on the spot. Of free agents after this season, are there one or two that you can kind of look at and say that would be a great fit with this system, with this coach?
Yeah, Gruden talked about building it through the draft. He wants to have a strong draft, and then also with free agency. But, I mean, obviously secondary is one of the top needs there for the team.
Again, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Garyon Conley was gone all year.
He talked about Conley today.
Yeah, and I mean, he's going to be a good player. I mean, the Raider Nation didn't get to see him play very often. The very small, slim bit that we did see was very, very encouraging.
He looked better than any cornerback on the field for the entire season in that 5 minutes that he was out there.
And I think that they look at that team and they say, you know what, if we can shore up the defensive backfield, man, that solves a lot of issues that they have with Bowman now in the middle at linebacker, because I think they'll extend him. That's going to be a good move too. So then you start looking on the offensive. I think they can do an upgrade at wide receiver, and then the running back spot, depending what Beast Mode does, they might have to do some things there too.
I think Crabtree could be huge if he decides to stick around because he's getting to the point now where he's going to be on the backside of his career, but generally he has great hands. He's a great route runner. This is a guy who can be used a lot like Tim Brown was in the last years of his career. Guy that's just going to be able to get you those hard yards, move the chains, make the big catches, and let other guys stretch the field out.
I was a little surprised with Crabtree at the end of the season this year, though. I mean, it was pointed out, ironically, by Rich Gannon in a couple of their games, saying that in big moments late in the game, he was standing on the sideline.
And he spoke to that at the end of the year. He said, I wasn't in the game plan. He said, I was on the field when they told me to be on the field. I do my work. I come out and play every week. And if I'm not part of the game plan, then that's what it is. You could tell that he was visibly upset with Downing and that offensive staff. There was a lot of tension there down the stretch, and you made mention of it with their lack of confidence with Derek Carr.
Guys, but it might not have been so much as we found out today again that, for Derek Carr, he had 3 broken bones in his back, suffered in the Denver game, and he played the entire season. So probably that's why they had to throw those short swing passes and such this season.
Sure, and I think with Derek Carr, too, you'll see that sometimes, doesn't matter how good you are, you need someone to push you. And I don't know that he was pushed to the limit where he really would be his best. And I think that's where, if you watch Gruden's quarterback camp shows and you see how he talks to those quarterbacks, the young kids, and you saw how he did it with Derek Carr back when he was first drafted, I think you're going to see him really push him, and that's what he needs. That's what Derek Carr needs to be a great quarterback, because he's not a great quarterback yet. He's got the potential, but he's not there yet.
Well, let's give the folks watching, and we appreciate everybody tuning in and chiming in and commenting. A big takeaway from here, I guess. Let's just go there. Record next season. Is this a playoff team next season?
I think it is, because the pieces are there. They have the core that went 12-4 last year. They have those core pieces already there. They need to build around those pieces, and they need somebody like Jon Gruden who's going to come in and get the most out of those players. I think. I mean, are they going to go 12-4 again? Maybe not. Right. We'll see. We'll see what they get in the draft. We'll see what they get in free agency. But is this going to be a competitive playoff team? I think so.
Obviously, personnel is huge. Defensive secondary, and I tend to think that they need to upgrade the running game, regardless of whether Lynch comes back or not. What do you even think? With as much as he talks about fullback, what do you think about bringing in one of these young runners that are going to be in the draft? Because there's going to be several that are very attractive, and having a two back set with Lynch back there with them, even doing some fullback work.
You going Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson? Is that what?
Yeah. I mean,
well, I think Reggie McKenzie, Jon Gruden will go get guys in lower rounds that fit the Gruden mold, and I think from a playoff team perspective. I think they'll be right there with the Chargers because if you look at the division,
gotta be.
Denver's got a long way to go to retool. The Chiefs look like they're about to retool as well. So it's going to be the Chargers who have a really good defense and their offense, is good as well, and they have some holes to fill. I think the Raiders have potential to be there, but we'll see. It's going to be another year of change, another new playbook, and so we'll see what happens.
Today we heard Mark Davis say that money never came into play, which of course
that's a lie.
Yeah, and he was happy with the terms of the contract.
Wasn't the number one overriding issue, but we are hearing that this will be a backloaded contract. Is that what you're hearing as well?
Yes.
25% for the next 5 years, and then the final 5 years, 75%
right in
of his contract. Once he moves here with no state income tax. That's
a beautiful thing.
You wonder how much, maybe in the back of his mind, it satisfied Gruden in his final game that he was commentating to see the Chiefs fall apart and see the Titans come back and win that game. Because he said when he went into the stadium, over these years, he said the Chiefs fans have been very nice to him, but this time when he went in, they were ribbing him and giving him a really hard time.
Even earlier this season, they were nice to him.
Yeah.
He did 2 games at Arrowhead this year before the playoff game. They said they were great and cheered for him.
But the word was out that he was coming to Oakland on Saturday
right.
when the Titans came in, and I tell you that was sweet to watch, wasn't it?
Give me chills, man.
I loved it.
Let's go over to Haley and see if she has any comments here.
Yeah, we got a little bit. So Jacob Piro came back and said Raider Nation in LA supports Las Vegas as a new home for the Raiders.
Right. Thank you.
Closer for them.
That's happy.
Thank you.
And then actually Jason Smith said that Mark spoke about how he always wanted Reggie with Gruden. I believe Reggie knew this was the plan when he first took the job now. So what do you guys think?
I think that's a fair point.
I think that's fair.
I think it's a great point, actually, Jason. He said he's been chasing him for 6 years. Reggie's been there for, 5 now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had to lay that out for him ahead of time. I never even thought about that, but why wouldn't he say that? This is what I want to do. This is my plan going forward. Eventually, we're going to get Jon Gruden back. Like you mentioned before, McKenzie and Gruden have a relationship going all the way back to Green Bay.
Yeah.
It makes total sense.
Well, and I think, too, if you look at, again, it goes back to Mark Davis. Mark Davis, people poke fun at him because of his haircut, because he drives a minivan, all kinds of little quirky things he has, because he's just a normal guy. He doesn't want to be some multi-billionaire NFL owner rolling around.
Not all normal guys who drive minivans have bad hair.
That's right.
Just want to let you know that.
Rick. Okay. So I mean, I think they deserve a lot of credit. I think there's been a lot more going on there. Scott Winter on our website wrote a piece about this today, talking about how Mark Davis, has he done everything perfect? No, he hasn't. But look at the year the guy had. I mean, gets a stadium in Las Vegas, gets approved to move to Las Vegas, and now gets Jon Gruden.
It's a blessed life there. Hashtag blessed.
Executive NFL Owner of the Year. I mean, come on.
We have to go back because right after you joined us on our last show, you guys broke the Gruden story. Mm-hmm. You guys broke it, a national story, huge. So congratulations on that. Mm-hmm. And I know that you guys were working. The effort was there for sure.
Well, yeah, our NFL insider Scott Winter, he's fantastic. I know he's watching tonight in North Carolina. He got over the flu you gave him.
I'm sitting next to Tony today, so I'm really
the virtual flu. Yeah. He's got the virtual flu.
But yeah, leaning this way.
And just like you guys, Tony, we're trying to build a website, a professional website. We're not, nothing against fan websites, but we're not a fan website. We're a professional website, and we break stories. And we've had 2 this year like that are very good for us. And all we can do is keep doing it, and getting credit for it or whatever. It'd be nice, but that's okay. We'll keep going forward.
The stadium meeting is next week, right? Next
this Thursday.
Oh, this Thursday
2
coming
days from
up.
today.
Okay, so what's on the agenda for this week's meeting?
Well, a couple things. Number one is the community benefits plan that took back and forth. All the stuff we heard about has been finalized, and they're going to actually name an oversight committee for that. So that's going to be part of the meeting on Thursday. The other two issues are Clark County approved the development agreement last week for the stadium to move forward, and that's going to come before the Stadium Authority Board, as well as is the joint use agreement that we all went and saw. At least some of us were working there, right, John? At the Board of Regents meeting. So it's really not going to be that an eventful of a meeting. No major action will be taken, but we'll be there to watch because there's always fireworks. If you haven't watched the public comments at the stadium meeting,
oh my gosh,
you have to watch it.
And it's the same 3 people every time.
It's the same 3 people, and I'm hoping UFOs come up this time. They might.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So was this, in fact, the biggest day in Raiders history?
It's
a
definitely
big day.
Step in the right
It's
direction.
a big day.
Come on,
Yeah.
them come to Vegas. That's
Three Super Bowls, maybe?
And Raiders history, yes. As far as my history of
so
Raiders
long ago.
is concerned.
Here's what it is, Tony. Is it's a step in the right direction in that Al Davis, and we mentioned it a little while ago before we went on, has made 2 very egregious errors in his time as Raiders owner. The first was blacklisting Marcus Allen when he should have been the face of the franchise, and the second was getting rid of Jon Gruden. I actually, in the piece I wrote for you last week, mentioned that Gruden became the face of the Raiders, and that was his undoing because Al Davis, he built up this jealousy because Al Davis is the ultimate Raider and always was the ultimate Raider, and once Gruden surpassed him as that guy, he had to let him go.
And you know what? One quick point, and that is, if you know now the way the Raider organization is and runs, these are a group of people, as Las Vegas will learn, who don't want to be out front. Mark Davis doesn't want to be the face of the franchise.
You never see Reggie McKenzie.
Reggie McKenzie does not want to be the face of the franchise. Mark Bedane, who was the instrument to get the Raiders to Las Vegas, really working with the ownership, he doesn't want to be the face of the organization. So Jon Gruden coming at this time, it is perfect timing because you have the right leadership team there. Nobody wants to be a star there. So Jon Gruden can be pushed out front. He can be the leader externally, and that's going to be good for everybody. Fans love him, and the team's going to be great with him.
I was reading a story a while ago about Jon Gruden's preparation for TV, and he would prepare for his telecast as he would just be going through the same routine as if he were coaching. Mm-hmm. And so he would provide like 10 to 15 clips to the producers and the director of the telecast, video clips that he would break down film and say, look out for this play. They're going to run this. This is the set that you need to. So, this is a guy that just really, he's always been a preparation guy.
He's never left the game.
Talk about that, too, because you do play-by-play, so you do preparation all the time for play-by-play. That's unheard of.
Right?
For an analyst to do that much work.
That's work, right?
It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there any negative? Obviously, this is a big day for Raider fans. We're all excited about having Coach Gruden back. Is there any negative here? That we can look at and say, we just have to wait and see on this because this could be a dangerous thing moving forward. And obviously for me, the biggest thing is, are the player of today, will they buy into a Gruden system and his style of coaching? Are there any other negatives that you look at?
Well, those are all open switches. I think you have the biggest negative is nothing in life is for sure. Yeah. Nothing is certain. You don't know what'll happen. I have every belief that they'll be successful. At the same time, he even said it today. Jon Gruden said today, he said, look, I'm going to do my best.
No guarantees.
No guarantees, right? And I think that that's true. And, for Raider Nation, let's talk about that. We talked about the fan base, and Matt, you're deep in this too, and that is, for the last 20 years, Raider Nation has been through hell, okay? It's been rough, except for those
Football
4 years.
Purgatory.
Unless you're a Dodgers fan, then it's been even worse.
That's true.
John, what do you water?
Fly off the chair.
John's on Amazon right now. What are you ordering? He's doing some shopping. What are you ordering?
May I add, being a UNLV basketball
Let them
fan,
finish.
I
Let
don't
them
know.
finish.
What are you ordering?
I'm more
Salt.
the Fire
Salt,
Football
no.
Coaches Association. I'm going to get a Spider 2Y banana shirt from the FFCA. It's only $12.
That's awesome.
All right.
That's awesome.
Shopping down here.
I know. He's looking for
Well,
gear.
you know what? You guys are talking. Just
But that's the deal. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, and that's the thing is the danger in it is that Jon Gruden comes back and the magic doesn't happen again. But all signs point to that not happening because he's a really motivated guy, and I think he's got something to prove.
But even if it ultimately doesn't work out, if you're the Raiders and you're Mark Davis, what do you have to lose at this point? Like you mentioned, 2 playoff berths since Gruden left. One of those playoff berths was Gruden's team. That was the 0-2 Super Bowl team.
Right.
So essentially, we've had one coach that's been able to stabilize this organization at all and get them back into the playoffs. So I mean, you really have nothing to lose and everything to gain because you're already out in front of it with all the publicity that Gruden brings to this team.
I agree.
I do feel bad for Del Rio.
Good man.
I like
Good man.
Jack Del Rio.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope that he lands one of these coaching openings because there's several to choose from. The Bears are filled now, but I hope the best for him because he's a good guy.
You know, I wrote something a few years ago about another coach, but it was about what I call the Moses principle, and that is you're going to lead this team out of the desert, right? But you're never going to see the promised land. I think Jack Del Rio is one of those guys. He really stabilized that team, changed the culture, as players and coaches said today. But unfortunately, that next step just wasn't there.
He's our Charlie Spoonhour.
Oh, that's a good analogy, actually.
I know
Moses, Charlie Spoonhour.
I know we're jumping a little bit back and forth here, but I want to go back and he does the preparation for Monday Night Football, or did it. How quickly does he get up to speed here? Does he just need a preseason? Will he get back into the swing of this right away? I mean, I understand he'll be back into the work ethic right away, but the game management and the play calling and all that is just leaning off other coaches from a booth enough to get you up to speed on that, or will he be ready? Game 1 of the regular season, or is it going to take him a year?
I think he's ready to go.
He's ready to go.
Like Tony just mentioned, the prep work that he put into every single telecast. He's the ultimate grinder. That's what Gruden is. He's probably already thinking about tomorrow morning and what time he's getting to the office, looking at his roster. He's going to be all over it.
It's not Amazon that I'm on.
Hold on. Go to
John Gruden, FFCA.com.
Let's shoot it over to Haley real quick for the latest comment.
I saw it. Come on.
Well, John, your shopping habits. Tiffany wants to know if there's a way to blacklist
Who's
someone
Tiffany?
From Amazon.
Yeah, I know, right. Her birthday just came, and then Christmas just came. So I'll remember
Did
this.
you order anything for her off of Amazon?
Well, I mean, I always get her stuff off of Amazon, so I don't know. I can't believe Tiff just wanted to call me out like that.
She ordered
Maybe
she
she
ordered
wants
a
a shirt.
Chucky's back
She
t-shirt.
wants a Y banana shirt.
Spider 2Y banana. Honey, it's coming your way, all right? I'll take care of that. It's $12.
awesome.
That's your new honey nickname for her, right?
Spider
2Y banana.
Yeah.
I love it.
We'll just keep that.
Thanks, Tiff. Thanks for chiming in.
Did you see the tweet today that Derek Carr really liked? Did you see that
The
one?
playbook one?
Where the playbook.
The Bleacher Report?
It
Yeah,
just
the
kept
video?
Page after page after page. It was pretty funny. What else do we have, Haley? I know that there's some more comments out there.
Yeah, people are going off. Jason Smith again. I like his comments.
Okay.
He was referring to when Rick had asked if Gruden's coaching style is going to work for today's players. He said only if players buy into Gruden's coaching style. If Irvin is still on the roster and buys in with Carr and Mack, everyone else will buy in. He's the most vocal leader in the locker room.
That's probably true. When Woodson left, Irvin kind of filled that spot. You have Mack and Carr that are the leaders of the team more for on field and just being a presence, and you have Irvin who's the vocal guy in the locker room. So, and Irvin's an old school style football player. He's going to buy into it.
Well, and there was an interview with Donald Penn today where he talked a lot about Jon Gruden too,
and he played for him.
And he played for him, so he's I think feels that as well. So that offensive line, there's a bunch of leadership.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm more concerned about the offensive line than the defensive line. I truly am.
The offensive line was great this year. They got a lot of they were. Look at the numbers. They had a lot of flack for their protection issues and the run game issues, but that wasn't the case. When Marshawn Lynch was given the ball, he was getting good chunks. Protection-wise, Derek Carr had the fourth most time in the NFL to throw the ball. They had plenty of time. He wasn't taking the time to throw the ball. He was well protected.
And there were scheme issues there too.
Yeah,
I think, which will be
of course. Yeah. Rick, what are your thoughts
about what?
I believe the offensive line. Is what we're discussing.
We weren't even sure that Donald Penn was going to be back.
Well, because we saw that look in your.
Well, he signed an extension after last season, so he still has 2 more years left on this deal.
Yeah.
We don't know if he'll make it to Vegas or not, but
Yeah.
he's not walking away from that money in Oakland. He's sticking around.
So, and again, I'm going back a little bit. Personnel, though, this past season defensively, it was supposed to be better, correct? I mean, clearly they took a huge step back.
They had major injury issues, like you talked about.
Well, I know
issues.
Connolly didn't really play at all.
Connolly, Melifanu.
Yeah. I mean, I know those things, but it was just injuries. I mean, that's what we chalk it up to. So you're saying a healthy defense next year means it's going to be a complete game changer?
There's going to have to be some changes.
You look at the difference, though, that the defense had once Ken Norton Jr. was let go and Pagano took over that defense. Their numbers jumped up by half in the league. They were down towards the
they also
very
played
bottom
the Giants
few.
and the Broncos.
And it was still through the last half of the season. They got better pressures. They moved guys around. You had Irvin and Matt coming from the same side of the field. They started getting interceptions. So you had guys that were actually around the ball in the secondary, which you never saw. You saw guys catching passes with nobody even in the frame on television. You can't have that as a defensive back. And that slowly changed. So do they have all the pieces they need? No. But they do have pieces to build around.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the defense, went to a top 5 defense the last 5 weeks with Pagano. So they really performed well. Now, the game against the Chargers, there were some outages, especially due to injury in the defensive backfield. But if you look at what they have, they had a nice start up front with Eddie Vanderdoes at the nose tackle, but he
Eddie
trailed
Vedder
off.
from Pearl Jam.
Eddie Vedder.
Jeremy's calling you, yeah. Okay. No, so they had, but he really faded towards the back end of the year. He had injury. He put on weight, which was his problem in college. So hopefully they'll straighten him out. I think
he had
he's
injury
a really
issues
good
at
player.
UCLA.
He sure did. He sure did.
So Gruden and Vegas, we haven't really talked about how these two mesh. I think they met, peanut butter and jelly, however you want to say it, 2 peas in a pod. Pretty bad analogies, but I think it's a perfect fit, and
John
I think
on
it's
Amazon.
great. I think it's great timing. Very good, very good. Listen, I don't leave the house to shop unless I really have to. And now I forgot. Oh, when's Gruden going to make an appearance in Vegas? I mean, there's a whole offseason here. We're going to have more Raiders activities out here. I get he's the head coach of the Oakland Raiders right now, but why would he not come out here?
Do you think they'll have
for
a caravan?
some sort of
Scott touched on it a little bit.
Do you think they'll have a caravan to drum up more support here?
I think they will, because if you look into February, March is going to be a big time when they're selling suites, right? So this is where they're getting big corporate dollars.
He's got to be the face of this new stadium.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then April, prior to the draft, you're going to have PSLs go on sale, okay? So I think you'll start to see him there. It'll be interesting. I know he'll come here and they'll use him here. How fast and how often, it'll be interesting to see. I think it might be a little while, because I think he's really going to focus on getting that roster and that team where they need it to be, the on-the-field stuff.
Probably after the draft, right?
But I think you'll start to see, John, you'll start to see Derek Carr and a lot of those guys come in here during the summer.
Be awesome. I can't wait. I can't. And it's got to start soon. Right, after the draft, I think would make sense, but sooner rather than later, you make some great points. They got to sell some tickets. There's deposits for $100, but that's a big difference than a $10,000 PSL that comes around.
That's right. That's right.
Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Scotty.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks again for having me on.
Great conversation.
Good stuff.
Haley?
Yeah.
What's happening over there?
We're going off over here. So first of all, to the whole hashtag needs an intervention. Another package arrived today, and Tiffany lost count of how many that is. So we just want to throw that out there for you.
Today,
but actually, we started talking a little bit about uniforms in the comment section. Guadalupe Gonzalez, whose name I haven't seen in a while, she said, "I hope they don't put gold on the Raiders gear or logo, because the Raiders have always been black and silver."
Don't worry about that.
But Jacob Piro came back and said Raiders throwback uniforms have gold on them.
So they do have a quote-unquote throwback uniform from their first couple of years as a franchise. They were basically wearing hand-me-down uniforms from a local college team. They were gold and black, college or high school, I don't remember. They did have gold and black in them. The second Al Davis got there, they went to the silver and black, and that's all they've had since. They're not going to change uniforms. Those uniforms are iconic. silver and black is synonymous with the Raiders. None of that is going to change. They may add a Vegas patch or something for the inaugural season.
We'll keep the gold with the Knights.
And I'll tell you, though, I'll make my bold prediction that the Golden Knights will no longer have gold in them eventually. And they'll turn silver. I mean, I know the Kings are silver and black, but I'm just telling you, trademark issues. Well, you watch.
I would love that,
Silver
but
State.
I don't know if you saw the little documentary they had on building the Knights uniform and the look. And that was one of the things Foley talked about, was wanting to separate himself from any of the other teams.
Was that the
in
NHL
the league.
placeholder video?
And I couldn't even tell you, but I don't know that they would ever want to go silver and black because of the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings.
Yeah.
By the way, Luis Negretti is also here tonight.
Hey, Luis.
He showed up as well.
It's the rain, you know?
It's the
and
rain.
that's we got some good numbers tonight. People are cozied up by the fire and, you know, enjoying our ugly mugs. It's really great.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Let's move on and let's talk
Trying
about
to
the
make you
knighthood.
guys feel good about
The
yourself.
first place, Vegas Golden Knights enjoying a bye week. They are off. They're back at home this Saturday. They face off against the Edmonton Oilers. Difficult stretch coming up for VGK, guys. They will be
You know
playing.
what? You said every single stretch has been tough
They're
for the
playing
Golden
11
Knights.
of their next
And we're kinda
14
tired of it.
games on the road. Okay, how many, once again,
We're kinda
how many
tired of it,
wins?
Tony.
14 games, 11 of those games
Well,
on the road.
hold
How
on,
many
before-
wins? Go
before
ahead,
I
Matt.
answer
No.
that,
Go
last
ahead.
week-
Go ahead,
week,
Matt. We know
we
what you're
had
going to talk about.
11 of 14 on the
week-
road. Are you kidding me
Last
right now?
week we had
split
3
it like
games
they've
on the
been doing
schedule.
it.
Last week we had 3 games on the schedule. We were in the middle of the Blues game during the show.
Yep.
Then we had Chicago the next night.
He said
and then
2
we
out of 3
had
they'll lose.
we had at home against the Rangers.
Are you going to call
I
me
said
out?
4 points. You said no chance. How many points did we get out of those 3 games?
3.
I think we got 4.
3.5.
I believe we
right?
got 4.
That'd be 4.
Every stretch is tough. It's
Yeah.
the
When are
NHL.
you going to buy? And I'm serious now.
No,
when are you
but
going
it's
to buy
11
in?
I'm just being. I'm
When are
being
you buying
real,
in, though?
I'm being realistic. 11 of 14 games
But
on the
you're
road in
trying
the
to
NHL.
be like everybody else across this country. That's like the expansion draft is rigged.
Mm-hmm.
The NHL set them up for success, and I'm kind of hearing the same thing from you. So when are you going to realize this team is one of the best teams in the NHL?
Talk to me after this 14.
What, the
So
All-Star
it
break?
was, first, it was talked to us after
Right.
the first.
That's right, the
tough
first
stretch.
road trip
Then
of
it was,
6 games
then
or
it was
whatever it was.
talked to us after
11
December
of 14
because
games
December
on the
was
road,
a gauntlet.
guys. Have you seen how difficult these?
Then it was talked to
these
us
road
after
trips
New
could
Year's.
be?
Now it's after the road trip. Well, I mean, Tony, it's a good
11
team, man.
of 14.
They're a good
How
team.
many games
So
will
they
they win?
split it.
The remainder of January, you look at who they play, and I granted a couple of those are they're on the road, and they haven't played Columbus or Calgary yet, but they've beaten everybody except for Carolina, which was in a shootout loss and was off fluke goal off Fleury's skate away from a win. I mean, it's this 10 losses in 41 games. I mean, it's unthinkable
And
what they're doing.
They're what, 3 games over 500 on the road?
Right.
I
And
don't
that's all
see
you
why.
gotta be.
I don't see why they can't split these road games.
Yeah.
They're a good team. They
Difficult
have a
stretch.
great goal. They have a great combination in net with Fleury and Subban.
All right, so let's say they lose 7 out of the 11. So that's 4 and 7 on the road in that span. They win 2 out of 3 at home, right? So that's like that's still a 500 stretch for a team that's comfortably in first place in the Pacific Division. It's not a bad. I mean, and that would be underperforming, right? If they again 11 games, they won 4 and lost 7, so they go 5 and 6. That's okay. 6 and 5. I mean, a 5 and 6 road trip, it wouldn't be a bad thing for this team.
What do you? I'm going to ask Tony. What do you see from this team that leads you to believe that they won't perform well going forward?
It's not even about the makeup of the team. It's about winning on the road in the NHL, back-to-backs. That many they feasted at home.
Their last.
Let's face it.
Let's talk
Let's
about their
face it.
last 3.
They have. They
let's
feasted
talk about
at
their
home.
last 3 back-to-backs. They had at Nashville, then at Dallas. They won them both. They had at Anaheim, at LA. They won them both. At St. Louis, at Chicago. They split, winning the second game in Chicago.
And only losing 2-1 in St. Louis.
And a majority of these road games were with Max Legacy in net. Now
They were.
we have
That East Coast
we
road
have
trip was
Fleury
all
in
Legacy.
net. I mean, and he's going to give you a game or 2 by himself, a game or 2 that this team shouldn't win. That he's going to stand on his head like he did against the Rangers, your boys that you were cheering for from your couch and on Twitter. I saw it. Don't deny it. I could feel the
What did you
vibes
say? I was trying
from
to get on
wherever
the
you were at.
telecast
Yeah,
again?
you were trying to get on the telecast.
The Ranger, by the way, Sam Rosen, legend, play-by-play guy
Yep,
for the
Sam
New York
Rosen.
Rangers. Yeah, for the New York Rangers. But
That's who
they
his
had
voice
really
was.
good.
He's right above me in the press box, and I heard his
no,
voice.
seriously?
Yeah.
Did you get an autograph?
No, but I recognized the voice. And I
No,
was like, who is
but
that?
Sam Rose, I mean, their coverage was very good. One of the things that really stood out was they were praising our defensemen.
and saying that the defensemen on the Vegas Golden Knights are probably among the league's best, and that they will get shots on net 30 to 40 feet out.
Yeah.
And they said a lot of defensemen aren't that aggressive with taking shots.
Yeah.
You've had England drill a couple from the blue line.
Yeah.
Theodore's drilled a couple from the blue line.
Yeah.
Schmitty. I mean, you've some good players on this team that aren't going to go on the road and fall apart.
And you look at it and you think, could the best thing that could have happened to this team be the fact that Flower got injured early? I mean, obviously you never want somebody to get injured, but the emergence of Malcolm Subban and the way they've been alternating starts and keeping them fresh. I mean, look at the league leaders. Fleury is leading the entire league in goals against and in save percentage. And I mean, Malcolm Subban has been playing incredible behind him. So,
right.
I mean, the goaltending has been fantastic. And when they need to step up in these games, they have been. I mean, you saw that last game. You know, they fell down, they came back. You know, and then the way they take the leads in these games is incredible.
That game against the Rangers really slowed them down in that first period. They looked like two very evenly matched teams throughout, but for the first time I saw a Golden Knights team that was human, and that was just in the first period. And then the second and third, the Golden Knights picked it up. They ultimately got the win. Now the guys have about a week off, right? First practice they'll be back is on Friday at City National. That's a 4 p.m. practice, and you can go out there. All of them have been open to the public before they play Edmonton Saturday. But we caught up with the guys after the game against the Rangers to talk with them a little bit about, you know, halfway point, how they're feeling, how they feel about what they've accomplished, and also what they're going to do during the break. And you'll be surprised, Marc-Andre Fleury going to take a little vacation.
No, like you said, it was a tough game. They were really tight, but, you know, it's hockey. You give us a free seconder, then it's going to go in back in the net. I mean, it was a great play by Marchessault and Smith, and I was just all alone on the other side.
Yeah. Did the game have a different kind of intensity feel with all the Ranger fans in the building than some of the other home games? Or was it similar like Pittsburgh and Toronto?
No, I mean, there's been a lot of away fans here too, so I think it's only good. It triggers, they trigger each other, I think, and make the atmosphere even better. So, and on the ice it was tight, and I'm glad we got away with the win.
Are you sticking around town, or are you getting out of here for a few days? What are your plans?
We'll see. I haven't decided yet. So,
when you look back on what you've accomplished, you and I talked about this Friday in Chicago, but you know, to score the game winner tonight and a very important game to go into the bye with this momentum, just what are your thoughts about your first half of play and just the way you've been able to raise your level?
You mean personally?
Yeah, for you personally.
I mean, it's coming here was a great chance for me, and I think I seized it, and playing along with my line mates, it's been a great fit. So for myself, it's been great. Obviously, 22 goals, who would have thought, right? So, and the team has been playing really good too. So it's good to go on a bye week with a win, but get some days rest, and then just back on the horse again.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, I think, is be the best way to describe it. Everyone enjoying themselves, playing hard for each other, and just an exciting time for our team and for the city, and so everything. It's been great.
James, one of the underrated things about your game is you have a quick defensive stick, and you showed that again on your goal. On the back check, you took the puck away, I'm not sure from who, and then you turned it around, and you scored on that. So can you talk about your...
I think just on our forecheck, just having good sticks is what you're trying to say. I think being ready to jump on guys and having your stick in the middle and trying to turn pucks over is something we work on and try to do at a high level, and it worked out tonight.
Hey, James, going into the bye week with this momentum, is that a good thing?
Yeah, that's a great thing. Yeah.
Just to get a few days.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for everybody. Rest here, recover a little bit. It's always nice to take your mind away from hockey for a little bit. For us, it's a grind, and we've been doing a good job at that so far. So, with all the travel we have and the games piling up, so for us to get some rest here is going to be good for us and come back ready to go for a good push.
Probably go for a few days at Disney in Newport with the kids, so it'll be good.
Is it good to get away from hockey right now, even though the team's playing well?
I don't know. It feels like we're on a roll a bit here, right?
Yeah.
So, that's how it is. I think it's a good time for everybody to rest, relax, fix a few bruises, bump some bruises a bit, right, and come back healthy.
How are you feeling physically right now? Are you good with everything? And
Yeah, good. Can't
your
complain.
legs strong and everything. The time off you had. You didn't have to work as much on the ice like you normally would.
I don't know. It's been fine, right? I think it's been good. Can't complain. We've been winning, and it's been good.
Did you expect the Rangers to push as hard as they did in the second half of the third period, given they were playing second of back-to-backs, and usually a lot of teams would run out of gas? They seem to come up with a nice second or third wind even.
A little bit. But I think we, for the first, almost all the second period, we took over, right? We had the puck a lot, and even the third, I thought we played great. Got that goal, and I think that's when they fell behind. When they fell behind, I think that's when we can open it up a bit. Maybe coming down lower there, but I guys did a great job of defending that.
So William Karlsson, James Neal, Marc-Andre Fleury, all really good sound, and again, it's a team where they all feel like you could say, well, we don't want this momentum to stop, but everybody kind of agrees, hey, it's a nice time to rest and heal up and really start off the second half charge on the right foot. I'm not seeing anything in this team, and I had this concern. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. How do they keep this fire still burning? How long does that chip continue to stay on their shoulder? And whether it's Gerard Gallant or whether it's these younger players that are still fighting for ice time, there's nothing about this team that says that chip and that fire is going away anytime soon.
Well, and it's interesting that so many of these guys are finally getting the opportunity to showcase what they can do. I mean, it seems like every game we're hearing the announcers say that this is their career high. This is their career high. I mean, William Karlsson has surpassed what he did in the last 3 seasons combined. This year, we've seen it with David Perron is higher than he's ever done. All these guys are doing surpassing what they've done in their careers because they're finally getting an opportunity. And to me, a lot of that goes back and kudos to how they drafted. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had the opportunity to take certain players. They were left unprotected, and they brought this group in, and they have bought in.
And they have new motivation now. Because it's all been about their former team and, like you said, being unprotected and all of that. Now they've got a motivation of we're the number 1 team in the West. Yep. We need to protect that seed. We need to make a legit playoff run and make a run for the Stanley Cup. So now if they are losing a bit of an edge from what it was before, there's this new added piece.
Well, it's going to become a buyer's market towards the trade deadline. That's what Bill Foley said this past week. And James Neal he got hit, right? With,
he did.
The puck in his hand.
We actually talked to him about that. He said he was fine. He said he was
He's
fine. Yeah, he said, thanks for asking. No, okay. he kind of shrugged it off. He was okay after that.
I mean, Stevie Karp was asking every question, so I kind of the latest power rankings have Tampa first, VGK second. Any word on who's going to be representing Las Vegas in the NHL All-Star game?
If it's not Karlsson,
you got to have Karlsson and
Marchessault,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, those have got to be your two.
Maybe Nate Schmidt's done enough. He probably won't get in, but Schmidt's had a great season. And then again, Fleury hasn't played enough games. Subban hasn't played enough games.
had a great year.
Yeah, but you got to get at least 2. And I think.
But the goal scorer and the points leader, Karlsson
Marshy and Wild Bill.
It's got to be Karlsson. Got to be.
I have a bit of a scoop here.
Ooh,
I'm hearing that Las Vegas is going for the NHL All-Star game in 2020.
2020.
That's a big year. What else is going on in 2020?
I don't know.
Remember correctly?
You heard it first here.
All right,
that's what I'm hearing.
Yep.
A lot of conversation.
Yeah, and
around
why wouldn't the NHL and why wouldn't Gary Bettman give it to Vegas? He's seen the response.
They
he's
still
seen
want
what's
to get
been
it.
happening.
Yeah, they want to get it in Detroit. They want to get it in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could wait.
Yeah.
Let's just get this in 2020 here. Okay. And then one final note on VGK: the Fan Fest is at the D this week.
Yeah,
on Sunday. Yep, 3 to 5 p.m. Chance the mascot, John's favorite, will be there.
I haven't met him
as
yet.
well. The backup goalie Oscar Dansk. He'll also be in attendance as
Just
well.
dance.
I think it's going to be more than Chance in the backup goalie. There might be some players there as
The backup
No,
goalie.
that's all that they said. And the front office will be there. Bill Foley will be
there. The lineup
there.
will be subject to change, but I think you're going to see a few maybe main players show up.
I think Haley wants to have some comments.
Yeah, and if my wife chimes in, I canceled every order on Amazon,
were you
including
asking,
everything
Haley,
that
was
you
that
wanted.
you asking where Scott Branson's square was on his jacket?
No, that was you. I thought his square was in his
No.
personality.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Whoa! This kid's too
I love
quick.
you. Listen, these
Whoa.
people in the comments got me like feeling a little amped up right now.
She's got the feels over there.
I do. I'm feeling all kinds
What
of
did you
feels.
say?
She's got the feels.
I know that was rhetorical.
Called him a square. I want. There's so much going on right now. So I was going into a little bit of discussion. Tommy Cummings does not believe that Vegas is a city for professional sports teams. He doesn't think there's enough people out here. So I want you guys. I gave my. You can
Where's
read
Tommy
it in the comments.
from?
I gave what
Tommy,
I had
we
to
want
say.
to at least hear where you're from.
Did Tommy say where he's from, first of all?
Yeah.
Tommy did not say
Well,
where he's from,
I'm-
but he
if-
told us to
if a
stick to our
comment,
Rebels.
You know,
So
and
I
we'll
don't
keep
think
it
he's-
respectful. But this is an argument that Well, I'm sorry. Do you have anything else?
No, I
before
said it in the
I get
comments.
fired up. Yeah.
Oh, no.
exactly.
What about Melissa Mirich? She said, Tony Cardasco, do you know why it's been raining for 2 days?
Oh.
It's the tears of Ranger fans.
No.
I pinned that one to the top.
Girl, that was
Mel.
awesome,
Oh,
Melissa.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like it.
How'd you let that one slip by?
I pinned it. I pinned it up there.
I mean, how many times do we just get this argument? And I'm assuming that Tommy is not from here or it hasn't lived here very long, but it's just over and over. 2 million is not enough when half of them are dealing cards. He doesn't live here,
we've
which
we
means he doesn't
definitely
get the city.
we've
And
already
we don't
proven
need,
it.
right? And we don't need to prove anything to
It's
people
already
outside
been-
of this.
it's already
the city.
been proven.
We'll just keep on winning hockey games. And yeah, we know the Runnin' Rebels are a little down right now. Bring back Tark. Boy, we'd love Tark today. But, we have bigger things in our sights right now, and that is we have an NHL team that is one of the best in the nation and is selling out every single game at T-Mobile Arena when everybody said,
Standing room
they're not going to. And the Ranger game was the highest attended game ever. It was at 18 to 50 something.
Which is 1,000 over
260.
capacity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's unreal. Come to a game at T-Mobile
was
and
it
learn for
50%
yourself.
Ranger fans? It looked pretty big on TV.
I wouldn't say 50. I thought it was maybe 70-30. They were loud, maybe 60-40, but the majority of fans there were the Golden Knights. Blackhawks are coming up in about a month. That's one of the few home games in that long road trip, so that'll be another fun, amazing crowd.
Where did this comment come from? From Tommy, what's the motivation behind this comment? The Knights have, and it's been documented by every team that's come into T-Mobile so far, one of, if not the best home environments in all of the NHL. We saw the response when they were just talking about getting a team here with all of the season ticket deposits. We've seen the response with the Raiders and the season ticket deposits. This is one of the most educated sports markets in all of the country
What would it
because
be like,
of the gambling.
What would it be like now if VGK were losing? Number one.
Right.
Number two, the fact that you have the Vegas Golden Knights now getting betting action has helped the betting.
Insane betting action.
It's helped the betting on other NHL games when it's typically a dead sport. They would just put it up there just as a service to people. No one really bet on NHL games, but it's really brought a lot of attention to the NHL.
I think it's valid to say, what would it be like if they weren't winning? But don't steal this thunder. I mean, this has been an amazing thing, and I'll save the rest for my final thought. But to say that this isn't a sports town, I think is
ignorant to what Vegas
it's an ignorant statement, because even without the professional sports that we had, I spent 11 years in the media here covering things every single week that came to town, and everything was sports. And we had so much sports here that we finally have the major professional sports, and it's working. Mm-hmm. And let's not poo-poo it. I mean, we're doing it. It's a great thing for us.
Let's move ahead. UNLV running Rebels. UNLV now 1-2 in the conference. 12-4
Back-to-back
overall.
home losses.
Tough loss at home on Saturday night to Utah State.
They're 12-4, and we're like really down.
The Rebels,
on this team
they
right
dug a 15-point hole in the first half, trailed by 10 at halftime, took a 3-point lead with 9 minutes to go, but couldn't sustain it. They fall 85-78 at home. Coach Menzies was in a lot of pain after the game. Mm-hmm. It's the first time that I felt, even through last year, first time I think I've seen him where he almost cracked, under a lot of the pressure. He said not winning at home is a very painful thing. And also painful is Jovan Mooring, 5 of 30 over the past 3 games.
Menzies said something in the press conference that kind of bothered me. He said that this was Utah State's, that they hadn't won on the road all season, and you could tell by the way they played that this is a team that wanted that road win. And what irritated me most about that statement is, why aren't the Rebels the team that won their first conference home win? Why aren't they the ones jumping out in front? Why? How does he come into a game with his team not wanting it more than the road team? That just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I asked him about Jovan Mooring and how. I asked him what he's going to say to him, what he says to a player that's slumping like this, not taking as many shots, but taking shots in rhythm and within the flow of the offense. And he kind of dismissed it as though, oh, he's fine, he's a good player, I'm not worried about him. Mooring's made, 4 field goals in the last 3 games, and he's taken 5 field goals. And the majority of his shots are completely out of rhythm. He's missed the rim entirely a handful of times. He's shooting from 30 feet out. He's not playing within the system, and he's shooting the Rebels out of the game.
Yeah, without the flow of the games.
And we thought once they got to conference, I mean, the way they were playing coming into conference, we had a mindset of how they were going to do. You take that second half against Boise, struggling against San Jose State, losing against Utah State. Now you look at the next 5. At Air Force, not easy anytime you go. I don't care how good they are. Home with New Mexico.
Yep.
Then you're at Colorado State, at Fresno State, and then you've got San Diego State. I mean, this stretch that they're in, they're going to have to
fix
something. Why is that
so difficult? Can't you win on the road?
Because they're not a good basketball team. The Knights are a good hockey team.
Yeah.
This team is nowhere near the team it was when it beat Utah at T-Mobile Arena to win that Las Vegas Invitation.
Yeah.
It is not the same team. There is something wrong in that locker room that we've covered over and over again. Jordan Johnson and Brandon McCoy don't look like they're on the same page, and that's what I mean, if you were to boil it down to 10 seconds, 15 seconds, that's it. How do they get back on the same page and just come together? Man, this was an exciting team to watch the first few games. Granted, they were, scrub opponents,
even Arizona.
but they're scoring 110 points. They were one of the top scoring
Arizona.
teams in the country and have just vanished from that map. What changed?
And
they got to get that back.
And the defense. I mean,
Right.
Utah State finishes the game on a 9-0 run to win at the Thomas and Mack against this team. That can't happen. Can't happen.
Jordan Johnson had 7 assists in that game against Utah State with no turnovers. Did you guys check out Brandon McCoy's tweet after the game?
Yeah,
that he
we
took
sure
down?
did. He took it down. I didn't know that. But it was something about it, hey, our backs are on the wall. If you're jumping off the bandwagon, don't come back on it, essentially, to paraphrase it, I believe is what it was.
Right.
And it was odd. Maybe they pay attention to Twitter a little bit too much, which athletes do. And I'm sure they got criticized for this last game, but, they're kids. He's
Bottom line
still
is
19.
you have to play better.
Yeah,
you have to play better. You have to give
he's
more
19.
effort.
They're pretty
He's
sensitive.
A 19-year-old
I
needs
get
to
it.
start playing more defense. He needs to be more aggressive. Johnson needs to get him the ball in the post more. They're not playing good team basketball from top to bottom.
Right. And Air Force tomorrow night, 6-9 and 0-3 in the conference. Hopefully UNLV can get back on the winning.
Doesn't mean anything in Colorado.
Always a grind against
exactly.
Air Force.
Didn't mean
It's
anything
going to be a
in San
painful
Jose.
game.
Exactly. Yeah. The Las Vegas Lights FC, some big news coming out this week. 5 local players signed to the inaugural team roster. They are Sebastian Hernandez, who played at UNLV, traveled internationally to play. Adolfo Guzman, who was born and raised in Las Vegas. Marco Cesar Jaime Jr., Julian Portugal, who played at UNLV. He was a midfielder. And Matt Thomas, who left Rocky Mountain College and a graduate of Palo Verde High School. So they're going out. Their first signings, 5 locals.
Yep.
That's great.
Well done. Yeah, very well done. I mean, they're doing this the right way, and how much they've been getting out in the community and promoting this. I think this is going to be another great product for us to see, and they start next month. So
it's hard to believe.
This is coming up quick.
I'm excited for it. I mean, it gives us another pro team in town, another thing to go out.
We can't support
and
it.
enjoy, have fun
15,
with.
Yeah, exactly.
2 million people's not enough.
Yeah, where's what's his name?
From what we hear, their season ticket deposits are going really well. They're on their way to having a nice fan base.
$15 a ticket. Again, 3 MLS teams coming to town. I am excited, and I'll make a point to make it out there for 1 or 2 of those games just to feel the atmosphere and from everything that Brett Lashbrook, and we'll get him back on the show, the owner of
and maybe
the Lights.
some players too.
Yeah, you know what? Absolutely. We'll reach out. Maybe we can do that for next week's show. But everything they've been doing has been on point. They're not the Golden Knights, Again, we get where they kind of fit in this I guess culture of sports now that's just blowing up here in Las Vegas, but there's no reason to say that they can't consistently get 7,000 or 8,000, and I think that's what they'll do.
This is a very big soccer community, more so than I think people outside of the sports world realize.
There's some really good comments on Facebook. What
right,
about
Haley.
the one about Wayne Newton singing the national
Haley,
anthem?
hit it.
So we're getting into a little topic of, locals are sick of seeing the Vegas of Vegas. So
Or is it the Las Vegas of Las Vegas?
The glitz and the glamour.
I know,
and the Wayne
but
Newton
we
and
like
the
Las
showgirls
Vegas
and
of
the
Las
boobs
Vegas.
and all of that.
She just said boobs.
Yeah.
But
what did she
Boobs
say?
or boobs? I can't.
I think she said bruise.
Yeah. Okay.
Boobs.
Got it. Thank you.
But yeah, so who was it? We were Wayne Newton.
That's
There we
Anthony
go.
Tello?
Anthony Tello. He was saying, when the Raiders come and everything, he doesn't want, Wayne Newton or somebody like that on the sidelines. And then he eventually said, please don't make a commercial gimmick. If Wayne Newton sings the national anthem, I think I'm going to kill myself. So I told him Britney Spears is available if that'll.
What
if
about
that'll
Paul
work.
Schaefer? Paul Schaefer.
we had
sang
Schaefer
the
there
national
last week.
anthem.
That was
Did a good
great.
job.
He did a really good job.
A lot of fun.
What else you got, Haley? Anything?
Nora
Just
Whipple.
Tommy disappeared, right?
Yeah, we're done with Tommy.
Yeah.
He's like the Tommy Lauren of the show.
Yeah.
So Nora Whipple chimed in and said, I haven't even read this yet, so hopefully it's good. Absolutely love watching. I have learned so much from this show, which allows me to watch other sports. I used to watch only my Spurs. Sorry, little plug for my basketball favorite. Love you guys. Thanks.
Awesome.
Love you
Awesome.
too.
Can I do a shout out to former Raider Jay Schrader watching?
Schrader's
Yeah.
Raiders.
Hey.
Jay,
Nice.
thanks for watching.
Jay,
Very
I
cool.
got my wife to autograph something. I told you about this. He was at Raider Image. My wife got an autographed picture of him. My favorite Tecmo Bowl quarterback,
Yeah.
Jay Schrader. Jay, if you're still watching, love you. Love playing with the Raiders. And I do pass. It's not just a Bo Jackson offense. You do throw the ball.
Time for our final thoughts. Rick?
I'm going to be a fan for about 30 seconds here. I mean, coming to the midway point of our first ever professional franchise season here in Las Vegas, could we seriously ask for anything more than what the Vegas Golden Knights have given us? To Tony's point, maybe they do go on a losing streak. At this point, I don't care. It has been so exciting, possibly the most exciting sports experience I've had in my life, because this has been our team. That has been so exciting for me to see these guys go in every day. In my living room, my family loves watching hockey together. Never thought I'd say that. And now that we have our team here and they're doing this well, this is a 30 for 30 in the making for ESPN someday, and it's just so exciting to see. Keep winning. Go Knights, go.
Matt?
I'm going to jump back to Gruden real quick, and I tweeted this out earlier.
Shocker.
And I said, do you not see the stuff on the table here? I tweeted out earlier that Gruden, you could hear him talking about players in the league, coaches in the league. He's spitting names out left and right. I said that he knows every single player, every single coach in the league. And it's like the Raiders have hired a spy that's been undercover for the last 10 years. And that's essentially what we have coming in here.
Interesting.
This is a guy who has been able to go places that no other coach would ever have access to within every single one of these organizations. He's picked up tendencies. He's picked up styles of coaching, different ways that these guys go about their daily routines with their teams, not to mention all of the schemes that he's been able to be a part of. This is more than just a splashy name and a glitz and glamour hire. Jon Gruden has been studying this game in a different way than any coach has been able to study it for the last 10 years, and he's going to make a difference on that sideline.
Yeah, great point. Loved watching the press conference today. What I want to talk about, just our team here and our show today, the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas team. We work really hard, and if you're watching us for the first time, hopefully you see a lot of our passion coming out into what is happening in the city right now. And I think it's awesome to be a part of this, and it's awesome to see our show gaining traction. And I just want to thank everybody that tuned in today and commented. And we want this thing to grow and make it big, and we can't do that without you guys. But really, hopefully you just kind of draw something from this show, and that is you learn a little bit about Las Vegas. If you're watching from out of state, you learn a bit about our sports culture. And we're smart sports fans out here. We're not naive. We're not, we're very savvy when it comes to the NHL, when it comes to the NFL. And I think the country's starting to see that. So I think what we're doing here, and Rich Giacovino over in the booth, and Luis and Haley and all you guys, I think we're crushing it right now. And I just have a good time being on the show week to week and bringing you guys some sports news here in Vegas.
And our regular time slot is Thursday nights at 7 p.m. right here on the Facebook page. I want to talk about another franchise that I want in Las Vegas. Bring back the XFL to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon said
they can have Sam Boyd Stadium. Give him Sam Boyd.
He said that he has sold more than 3 million shares of WWE stock worth $100 million. He feels that seed money would be enough to get the XFL revived. The league lasted just one season in 2001, but that was a lot of fun at Sam Boyd Stadium.
That was nuts.
It was so much fun. And McMahon refiled for the XFL trademark last summer. He said that it could be another football league, but he's leaning towards the XFL. And we will find out soon enough, because Vince McMahon will be making an announcement on January 25th on the future of the XFL. I'd like to see its return to Las Vegas. Haley, closing comments?
Well, if you want the XFL, then I want Slam Ball.
What is that?
Oh my God! You don't know
They
about
put that on
Slam
TV,
Ball?
didn't they? Wasn't that on like
Yeah,
Spike
it's like
TV?
basketball with trampolines.
Yeah. It
basketball trampolines. Come on, Tony.
I like the windmill.
It lived for about 2 hours, Tony, and then they took it off the air. So
I want it back.
Yeah.
That's my final thought.
Any comments from our viewers?
Strong final thought, Haley.
Yeah, so actually, I was going to use Jason Smith's thought as my final thought. He's been killing it today. Going back to the Knights and the Raiders, he said it's supposed to take time for an expansion team to grow a fan base, and they've blown it out of the water. Speaking about the Knights, and the Raiders have a tremendous built-in fan base that travels. Vegas is partially built on professional sports.
Ta-da.
Good night.
Thanks, Haley. Peace out. Well, that wraps up our show for tonight. It was a marathon session, our special edition on a day in which Jon Gruden was named or renamed head coach.
Chucky's back.
For the Raiders. Tony Cardasco, Matt Gutierrez, Rick Strasser, John Castanino. Our producer is Richard Giacovino. Haley Brooks with Haley's comments. Of course, Luis Negretti, who is behind the cameras today. And our special guest tonight has been Scott Gulbranson from the LV Raiders Report. We thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next week in our regular time slot. That's Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific right here. Good night, everyone.
Wow, that's our most live, isn't it? Wow. Well, I think that's the thing. I think we need to go with the flow. If we shouldn't force it if it's not going to go an hour, but if it does go an hour, let it breathe. We're okay.